In a world where silence was expected, one woman chose dignity. Her name was Rosa Parks. She didn't shout. She didn't fight. She simply refused to move. This single, quiet act of defiance would send ripples across a nation, challenging the very foundation of injustice and sparking a movement that changed history forever. But to understand her courage, we must first understand the world she was born into. Rosa Louise Macaulay Parks was born in 1913 in Tuskegee, Alabama, a place deeply divided by race and ruled by fear. From her earliest days, she learned that the color of her skin determined her place in society, where she could go, where she could sit, and how she was treated. She walked to her one-room schoolhouse while white children rode buses to their new, well-equipped schools. She saw the daily humiliations her grandparents and community endured under the oppressive system of Jim Crow laws. Yet, amidst this environment, Rosa was raised by her mother and grandparents to believe in one thing with unwavering conviction: self-respect mattered. Her grandfather, a former slave, would sit on their front porch with a shotgun, ready to defend their home against the Ku Klux Klan. These early experiences instilled in Rosa a quiet strength and a deep-seated belief in equality and justice. Long before her name became a household word, she learned that true strength wasn't about being the loudest voice in the room, but about holding on to your dignity, no matter the cost. In Montgomery, where Rosa later lived and worked as a seamstress, segregation was the law of the land. Signs for white and colored were everywhere, a constant, ugly reminder of a fractured society. This division was starkly visible on the city buses. Black people were required to pay their fare at the front, then get off and re-enter through the back door. They were confined to the rear seats. White passengers sat in the front. And then, there was the cruelest rule of all. If the white section filled up, black passengers were forced to surrender their seats and stand, even if the colored section wasn't full. It didn't matter how tired you were after a long day of labor. It didn't matter that you paid the same fare as everyone else. The rules were arbitrary and dehumanizing, designed to reinforce a brutal hierarchy. Breaking them was not just an act of defiance. It was dangerous, often leading to verbal abuse, physical assault, or even arrest. On the evening of December 1, 1955, after a long day at the Montgomery Fair department store, a tired Rosa Parks boarded the Cleveland Avenue bus for her ride home. She took a seat in the first row of the colored section, just behind the seats reserved for white passengers. The bus was quiet, the evening light filtering through the windows. For a few stops, the ride was routine. But as the bus continued its route, more white passengers got on. Soon, all the seats in the white section were taken. The driver, James F. Blake, stopped the bus, looked in his rearview mirror, and made a demand. He told the 4 black passengers in Rosa's route that they had to get up so a white man could sit. The air grew tense. 3 people stood up. Rosa Parks did not move. She remained seated, her posture calm, her gaze steady. She wasn't shouting. She wasn't making a scene. She was, as she later described, simply tired of giving in. The driver approached her again. "Are you going to stand up?" he asked. Rosa looked at him and spoke the words that would echo through history. "No," she said softly. He threatened her with arrest. "You may do that," she replied. In that moment, her quiet firmness was more powerful than any protest chant. It wasn't just about a seat on a bus. It was a lifetime of indignities, a deep well of frustration, and an unshakable belief in her own humanity converging into a single, profound decision. She was not just refusing to move her body. She was refusing to move from her principles. Rosa Parks was arrested that night. Police officers came and took her to the city jail. Her crime, not violence, not disruption. She was arrested for violating a local segregation ordinance, simply for refusing to give up her seat. As she was escorted from the bus, she saw her dignity being challenged, but she held on to it. This quiet action, performed by a soft-spoken seamstress, was about to awaken a nation from its slumber of complacency. Her arrest was the spark that would ignite a firestorm of change. News of her arrest spread like wildfire through Montgomery's black community. The outrage was immediate and palpable. Local civil rights leaders, including E.D. Nixon, president of the local NAACP chapter, saw this as the moment they had been waiting for. Within days, flyers were printed and distributed, calling for a one-day boycott of the city's buses in protest. On Monday, December 5th, the day of Rosa's trial, the buses that normally carried thousands of black citizens were almost completely empty. People walked miles to work, they organized carpools, they took taxis. They stood together in a stunning display of unity. The Montgomery bus boycott had begun. What was planned for a single day turned into something much larger, a sustained campaign for justice. The boycott lasted for an incredible 381 days. Through scorching summer heat and cold winter rain, the black community of Montgomery refused to ride the buses. They faced intimidation, threats, arrests, and even violence. Their homes were bombed, but they did not yield. Their resilience was extraordinary. During this time, a young, charismatic pastor named Martin Luther King Jr. emerged as the leader of the movement, his powerful speeches inspiring people to remain committed to nonviolent resistance. But everyone knew who had started it all. Rosa Parks, the mother of the movement, was the quiet spark that had lit the roaring fire of protest and pushed the struggle for civil rights onto the national stage. For Rosa Parks, this act of courage came at a tremendous personal cost. She was fired from her job as a seamstress. Her husband, Raymond, was forced to quit his job after his employer forbade any discussion of his wife or the boycott. They received constant death threats by phone and mail. The harassment became so severe that they felt unsafe in their own city. Courage did not bring her immediate comfort or prosperity. It brought hardship and sacrifice. Eventually, unable to find work and facing relentless hostility, Rosa and her husband had to leave Montgomery, the city they had fought so hard to change. They moved to Detroit in search of safety and a new start. Her quiet stand had helped transform a city, but it had also turned her own life upside down. But their sacrifice was not in vain. While the boycott continued on the ground in Montgomery, the legal battle made its way through the courts. Finally, on November 13, 1956, the United States Supreme Court declared that Alabama's laws requiring segregation on buses were unconstitutional. The fight was won. On December 21, 1956, the buses in Montgomery were officially integrated. A photograph from that day shows Rosa Parks sitting in a front seat of a bus, looking out the window, a quiet, powerful symbol of victory. Her simple act of defiance had rewritten history. She could finally sit anywhere she chose, not just on a bus, but in the annals of American history as a hero of freedom and equality. Rosa Parks showed the world that strength does not always have to shout. Sometimes, the most powerful force for change is a quiet, unwavering refusal to accept injustice. She didn't just keep her seat that day. She stood up for generations to come, reminding us all that one person, guided by courage and dignity, can indeed change the world. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as inspiring as we do, please like, comment, and share. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories of the people who shaped our world.